A man found a cocoon of a butterfly. One day a small opening appeared. He sat and watched the butterfly for several hours as it struggled to force its body through that little hole. Then it seemed to stop making any progress. It appeared as if it had gotten as far as it could and it could go no farther. Then the man decided to help the butterfly, so he took a pair of scissors and snipped off the remaining bit of the cocoon. The butterfly then emerged easily. But it had a swollen body and small, shriveled wings. The man continued to watch the butterfly because he expected that, at any moment, the wings would enlarge and expand to be able to support the body, which would contract in time. Neither happened. In fact, the butterfly spent the rest of its life crawling around with a swollen body and shriveled wings. It never was able to fly. What this man in his kindness and haste did not understand was that the restricting cocoon and the struggle required for the butterfly to get through the tiny opening were nature's way of forcing fluid from the body of the butterfly into its wings so that it would be ready for flight once it achieved its freedom from the cocoon. Sometimes struggles are exactly what we need in our life. If nature allowed us to go through our life without any obstacles, it would cripple us. We would not be as strong as what we could have been. And we could never fly.
Marco and Jane are siblings. Every weekend in the morning, they start a trip to visit their grandmother. Their grandmother lives in a distant city. Since the siblings don't have a car, they need to take public transportation, precisely the train and the bus. First, they have to take a communal train to the next major city. At the main train station, they have to take the metro train to get to the other side of the city. After that, when they have finally arrived at the last station outside the city, they have to take a bus to get to their final destination, a village in the countryside. The whole journey takes about half a day and usually, they arrive just before lunch. After resting an hour or so, they leave and take the trip back to the city, taking the trains again just to arrive home at dinner time. They both save eagerly to buy a car, as a trip to their grandmother by car would just take about an hour.
An elderly carpenter was ready to retire. He told his employer contractor of his plans to leave the house-building business to live a more leisurely life with his wife and enjoy his extended family. He would miss the paycheck each week, but he wanted to retire. They could get by. The contractor was sorry to see his good worker go and asked if he could build just one more house as a personal favor. The carpenter said yes, but over time it was easy to see that his heart was not in his work. He resorted to shoddy workmanship and used inferior materials. It was an unfortunate way to end a dedicated career. When the carpenter finished his work, his employer came to inspect the house. Then he handed the front door key to the carpenter and said, "This is your house, my gift to you." The carpenter was shocked. What a shame. If he had only known he was building his own house, he would have done it all so differently. So it is with us. We build our lives, a day at a time, often putting less than our best into the building. Then, with a shock, we realize we have to live in the house we have built. If we could do it over, we would do it much differently. But, you cannot go back. You are the carpenter, and every day you hammer a nail, place a board, or erect a wall. Someone once said, life is a do-it-yourself project. Your attitude, and the choices you make today, helps build the house you will live in tomorrow. Therefore, build wisely.
She had big brown eyes. Her sister had big blue eyes. Her brother had big green eyes. Her mother had a gray eye and a green eye. Her father had black eyes. Why are our eyes different? She asked her mom. Who knows, said her mom. Life is strange. It is full of mystery. This is a mystery to all of us. She asked her teacher. She asked the doctor. She asked the nurse. She asked the mailman. Nobody knew why her family had different color eyes. Finally, she asked the librarian. A librarian reads a lot. A librarian works in the library. A librarian is surrounded by books. Books have information. Lots of information. The librarian looked in all her books. She called other librarians. They looked in all their books. Still, nobody knew the answer. I'm sorry, little girl, the librarian said. Maybe someone will invent a computer someday. Then I will give you an answer. But for now, your big brown eyes and your sister's big blue eyes are a big mystery. The two brothers loved each other. But sometimes they argued with each other. Sometimes they yelled at each other. Sometimes they pushed each other. Sometimes they hit each other. Sometimes they got into a fight with each other. Bobby was the older brother. Billy was the younger brother. Bobby was older than Billy. Billy was younger than Bobby. Bobby climbed into a tree. His kite was in the tree. He could not reach his kite. He fell out of the tree. Billy laughed. He laughed when he saw Bobby fall to the ground. Bobby was not hurt, but he was angry. "Why are you laughing?" he asked Billy. "That was funny," Billy said. Bobby said it wasn't funny. Billy said it was funny. Bobby pushed Billy. Billy pushed Bobby. Bobby punched Billy in the stomach. Billy punched Bobby in the stomach. They put their arms around each other. They wrestled on the ground. They rolled around and around. Their mom came outside. "What are you two doing?" she asked. She separated them. She said, "You shouldn't hit each other. That's not nice. Wait till your father gets home." She sent them to their rooms.
One day, a saint while going somewhere with his disciples saw a pond full of fishes on the way. He stopped there and started filling his mouth with fish. The disciples followed their guru. The saint said nothing to them, and after some time moved ahead. Then they reached another pond, where there were no fishes. The saint stood at its shore and started taking out the fishes he had swallowed. When the disciples saw this, they were amazed and also tried to vomit out the fishes, but after many attempts, they could only take out some dead fishes. At this, the saint said, "Fools! When you didn't know how to keep the fishes alive in the stomach, then why did you imitate me? It is truly said that never imitate anyone."
The baby was lying on her back. A blue bird flew in through the window. The blue bird had blue eyes. It sat on the baby's crib. The bird had a bell around its neck. The bell rang. The baby smiled. The baby reached for the bell. The bird shook its head. The bell fell off the bird's neck. It fell next to the baby. The baby picked up the bell. The baby rang the bell. Another blue bird flew in through the window. This blue bird also had blue eyes. The baby had brown eyes. The birds looked at the baby. The baby looked at the birds. The baby rang the bell again. Both birds flew away. The baby started to cry. His mama came into the room. The baby smiled. Mama saw the bell. She asked the baby where the bell came from. The baby pointed at the window.
One day, a rich merchant came to Birbal. He said to Birbal, "I have 7 servants in my house. One of them has stolen my bag of precious pearls. Please find out the thief." So Birbal went to the rich man's house. He called all the 7 servants in a room. He gave a stick to each one of them. Then he said, "These are magic sticks. Just now all these sticks are equal in length. Keep them with you and return tomorrow. If there is a thief in the house, his stick will grow an inch longer by tomorrow." The servant who had stolen the bag of pearls was scared. He thought, "If I cut a piece of 1 inch from my stick, I won't be caught." So he cut the stick and made it shorter by 1 inch. The next day Birbal collected the sticks from the servants. He found that one servant's stick was short by 1 inch. Birbal pointed his finger at him and said, "Here is the thief." The servant confessed to his crime. He returned the bag of pearls. He was sent to jail.
After work I sometimes go to a pub. Usually I order a large beer, and if there's a chance I'll watch a football match. Most men who go into the pub are regular customers, and some of them I know personally. For me, it's always fascinating to learn about their different backgrounds. There is one customer that I believe has come there every day for years. He likes to talk about himself, that he is a successful businessman, and that he is a wealthy man. One day he's asking me for a favor. He asks if I can lend him £50. Normally I am not someone who lends money easily. Anyway, he told me that I'd get it back tomorrow, so I gave him the money. The next evening he showed up in the pub and he gave me back my money without much ado. A week passed by, and that old customer asked me again for money. Again I gave him some, as I expected to get paid back the next day, just as before. Strangely, the next evening the man did not show up. I asked the bartender and other customers if anyone had seen the man. I was dumbfounded when I found out that yesterday the man borrowed money from many people, sometimes hundreds of pounds. We gave it to him because he paid us back before. However, we never saw that man again. Since I was going to school, Sophia has been my best friend. We were about 12 years old when we first met. Even though she lives in another city, we have always maintained good contact. Later we even went to high school together. As far as I can remember, we have always supported each other. I always have been good with languages while my friend is good at math. Sophia has always helped me with my homework and I helped her with learning French. As teenagers, we often consulted each other about boys' and women's issues. I hope we are going to be best friends for the rest of our life.
A young man was getting ready to graduate college. For many months he had admired a beautiful sports car in a dealer's showroom, and knowing his father could well afford it, he told him that was all he wanted. As graduation day approached, the young man awaited signs that his father had purchased the car. On the morning of his graduation, his father called him into his private study. His father told him how proud he was to have such a fine son, and told him how much he loved him. He handed his son a beautiful wrapped gift box. Curious, but somewhat disappointed, the young man opened the box and found a lovely, leather-bound Holy Quran. Angrily, he raised his voice at his father and said, "With all your money you give me a holy book," and stormed out of the house, leaving the holy book. He never contacted his father again for a long time. Many years passed and the young man was very successful in business. He had a beautiful home and wonderful family, but realized his father was very old, and thought perhaps he should go to him. He had not seen him since that graduation day. Before he could make arrangements, he received a telegram telling him his father had passed away, and willed all of his possessions to his son. He needed to come home immediately and take care of things. When he arrived at his father's house, sudden sadness and regret filled his heart. He began to search his father's important papers and saw the still new Holy Quran, just as he had left it years ago. With tears, he opened the Holy Quran and began to turn the pages. As he read those words, a car key dropped from an envelope taped behind the Holy Quran. It had a tag with the dealer's name, the same dealer who had the sports car he had desired. On the tag was the date of his graduation, and the words "paid in full." How many times do we miss God's blessings because they are not packaged as we expected?
The 3 bears left their cave. They lived in a beautiful cave. The cave was big. The cave was warm in winter. The cave was cool in summer. It was a quiet cave. It was a dark cave. They loved their cave. Today was Sunday. They liked to pick berries on Sunday. So they left their cave. They walked through the woods. They found a field of berries. Mama Bear had a basket. They filled the basket with blackberries and blueberries. Then they walked back to their cave. When they got inside the cave, they heard a noise. "Who is that?" Papa Bear asked. "It's only me," said a pig. "What are you doing here?" asked Papa Bear. "I'm hiding from the farmer," said the pig. "I think he wants to eat me." Papa Bear told the pig he could stay in the cave as long as he wanted. The bears shared their berries with the pig. Then the pig and Baby Bear took a nap together.
A man came out of his home to admire his new truck. To his puzzlement, his 3-year-old son was happily hammering dents into the shiny paint of the truck. The man ran to his son, knocked him away, and hammered the little boy's hands into pulp as punishment. When the father calmed down, he rushed his son to the hospital. Although the doctor tried desperately to save the crushed bones, he finally had to amputate fingers from boy's both hands. When the boy woke up from the surgery and saw his bandaged stubs, he innocently said, "Daddy, I'm sorry about your truck." Then he asked, "But when are my fingers going to grow back?" The father went home and committed suicide. Think about this story the next time someone steps on your feet or you wish to take revenge. Think first before you lose your patience with someone you love. Trucks can be repaired. Broken bones and hurt feelings often can't. Too often we fail to recognize the difference between the person and the performance. We forget that forgiveness is greater than revenge. People make mistakes. We are allowed to make mistakes. But the actions we take while in a rage will haunt us forever. Pause and ponder. Think before you act. Be patient. Forgive and forget. Love one and all. One who cannot benefit by patience will die of grief and excitement. Imam Ali, A.S. An emperor in the Far East was growing old and knew it was time to choose his successor. Instead of choosing one of his assistants or his children, he decided something different. He called young people in the kingdom together one day. He said, "It is time for me to step down and choose the next emperor. I have decided to choose one of you." The kids were shocked. But the emperor continued. "I am going to give each one of you a seed today. One very special seed. I want you to plant the seed, water it and come back here after 1 year from today with what you have grown from this one seed. I will then judge the plants that you bring, and the one I choose will be the next emperor." One boy named Ling was there that day and he, like the others, received a seed. He went home and excitedly told his mother the story. She helped him get a pot and planting soil, and he planted the seed and watered it carefully. Every day he would water it and watch to see if it had grown. After about 3 weeks, some of the other youths began to talk about their seeds and the plants that were beginning to grow. Ling kept checking his seed, but nothing ever grew. 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks went by. Still nothing. By now, others were talking about their plants but Ling didn't have a plant, and he felt like a failure. 6 months went by, still nothing in Ling's pot. He just knew he had killed his seed. Everyone else had trees and tall plants, but he had nothing. Ling didn't say anything to his friends, however. He just kept waiting for his seed to grow. A year finally went by and all the youths of the kingdom brought their plants to the emperor for inspection. Ling told his mother that he wasn't going to take an empty pot. But honest about what happened, Ling felt sick to his stomach, but he knew his mother was right. He took his empty pot to the palace. When Ling arrived, he was amazed at the variety of plants grown by the other youth. They were beautiful in all shapes and sizes. Ling put his empty pot on the floor and many of the other kinds laughed at him. A few felt sorry for him and just said, "Hey, nice try." When the emperor arrived, he surveyed the room and greeted the young people. Ling just tried to hide in the back. "What great plants, trees, and flowers you have grown," said the emperor. "Today, one of you will be appointed the next emperor." All of a sudden, the emperor spotted Ling at the back of the room with his empty pot. He ordered his guards to bring him to the front. Ling was terrified. "The emperor knows I'm a failure. Maybe he will have me killed." When Ling got to the front, the emperor asked his name. "My name is Ling," he replied. All the kids were laughing and making fun of him. The emperor asked everyone to quiet down. He looked at Ling, and then announced to the crowd, "Behold your new emperor. His name is Ling." Ling couldn't believe it. Ling couldn't even grow his seed. How could he be the new emperor? Then the emperor said, "1 year ago today, I gave everyone here a seed. I told you to take the seed, plant it, water it, and bring it back to me today. But I gave you all boiled seeds, which would not grow. All of you, except Ling, have brought me trees and plants and flowers. When you found that the seed would not grow, you substituted another seed for the one I gave you. Ling was the only one with the courage and honesty to bring me a pot with my seed in it. Therefore, he is the one who will be the new emperor. If you plant honesty, you will reap trust. If you plant goodness, you will reap friends. If you plant humility, you will reap greatness. If you plant perseverance, you will reap victory. If you plant consideration, you will reap harmony. If you plant hard work, you will reap success. If you plant forgiveness, you will reap reconciliation. If you plant openness, you will reap intimacy. If you plant patience, you will reap improvements. If you plant faith, you will reap miracles. But if you plant dishonesty, you will reap distrust. If you plant selfishness, you will reap loneliness. If you plant pride, you will reap destruction. If you plant envy, you will reap trouble. If you plant laziness, you will reap stagnation. If you plant bitterness, you will reap isolation. If you plant greed, you will reap loss. If you plant gossip, you will reap enemies. If you plant worries, you will reap wrinkles. If you plant sin, you will reap guilt. So be careful what you plant now, it will determine what you will reap tomorrow. The seeds you now scatter will make life worse or better, your life or the ones who will come after. Yes, someday, you will enjoy the fruits, or you will pay for the choices you plant today.
Many people love to watch basketball. The Lakers are a great basketball team. The Clippers are a terrible basketball team. Both teams call Los Angeles their home. They play at the Staples Center. The Staples Center is new. It is a shiny new arena. It is in downtown Los Angeles. It is next to 2 freeways. It is next to the 110 freeway. It is next to the 10 freeway. The 110 goes north and south. The 10 goes east and west. Many basketball fans take the freeways to Staples Center. They drive their cars on the crowded freeways. The crowded freeways have too many cars. The fans park their cars in the huge parking lot. Parking is not cheap. It is $22. The fans walk to the arena from the parking lot. They buy their tickets. The cheap tickets are $10. The expensive tickets are $2,600. Rich people buy the expensive tickets. Poor people buy the cheap tickets. The rich people sit very close to the basketball court. They talk to the players. The poor people sit far away from the basketball court. They talk to each other.
Once a saint saw a man with a bandage tied round his head. "Why have you tied the bandage?" he asked. "Because my head aches," the man replied. "How old are you?" he demanded. 30, he replied. "Have you been in pain and anguish the greater part of your life?" he inquired. "No," the man answered. "For 30 years you have enjoyed good health," he remarked, "and you never tied the bandage of thankfulness. Now because of this one night headache that you have, you tie the bandage of complaint."